my name is Leslie Croft. And hello, AA meeting. Hi. So this is Mike Croft here, the guy who's taking the video. This is my husband. He's amazing. We discovered his hidden talent at sculpting. So when I get burned out, like after the octopus fluke and stuff, he helps take over. So I could not do all of this without him. And he also does like all the videos and pictures and almost all of our content. He's like the videographer and stuff for all the stuff you see online. So,
relationship goals.
Yeah. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for like taking your time away from these beautiful, beautiful springs we have here to come listen to me nervously talk in front of all of you guys. And so I'm really, really excited that you guys are here because this class is going to be broken up into like 2 parts. So first, I'm going to go over like kind of how we started, what our values are, what types of silicone tails we have and offer, how the Fishi Flipper came to be, and I also have 3 silicone tag-along prizes for people who are like paying attention. So, because the teacher part of me is coming out, and we're gonna have 3 questions at the end. So Jurassic Merman Productions first started with just me like sculpting and making my own tail. At the time, nobody offered an aerial waist fin like that. And I actually approached many existing silicone tail companies and asked, I was like, whatever you want to charge me, like, can you make me an aerial tail? And everyone's like, well, we can make whatever you see on the website. So I just kind of started sculpting, and I had been saving up for years, so instead of, going with someone, I kind of put that into diving in head first, like, learning how to, make molds. I called Smooth on like a million times a day. They were so sick of hearing me. And I just kind of, back in 2018, started sculpting my own scale sheet, making my own fins, and just diving in head first. So even though I had been swimming by myself since 2014 as a merman, I pretty much was like afraid to go out, didn't want to be made fun of as a merman, and now like looking and seeing so many mermen's faces here in the audience is like great. I mean, ask Mike.
Yeah.
I would like only swim in our community pool at night. I'd make him stand guard, like so nobody saw me for years. And honestly, if it wasn't for the FSM back in 2018, I would have never gone out in public swimming as a merman. So I think we should give a round of applause for FSM. And I could never have imagined that like I'd be here as an admin on the Merc Council, like doing a class. Like never in a million years did I think this would happen. So I started sculpting my first tail in 2018. And once I started wearing my aerial prototype tail out to the springs and stuff like that, everybody started asking me about it. They're like, oh, we want that waist fin, like we want that waist fin. And plus they're like really flattering too, which is really nice. So everybody kept asking me to make them a tail, but I worked for Progressive at the time. And so it was literally just like a hobby, it wasn't full time. And so I officially announced that I would be starting my company and opening tail slots for everybody in 2020, right before the shutdown. So I probably would have started it sooner, but like a lot of people I told about it were like, oh, who the hell is gonna buy a mermaid tail? Well, look at all of us proving them wrong. They're just not, those people who tell you you can't do something just aren't magical enough themselves. So if somebody ever tells you that you can't do something, you know what you're capable of, not them. And always remember that. So anyway, so I started my tail company in 2020 in the midst of quarantine. I took like my, what were those things called? The stimulus checks, and I like just put it into making molds, sculpting, working really hard, and like now we have so many options. Like that's a little bit why I'm burned out on sculpting, because I just went through a sculpting craze, and some of the stuff we haven't even been able to use in tails yet. Where was I? I lost my spot. I got too excited. definitely check out our online store at any time, because even if we don't have tail slots open, you can see all the options and kind of plan ahead like what you want to get in the future or whatnot. So as far as what I stand for and our values, like this has been unchanging from the start. So I wanted to make sure that, because back when I created the company, there was pretty much no diversity in the mermaid world. There was no, heavy-set mermaids. There was no diversity in models. There wasn't really merman models. I wanted to make sure that I represented everyone, and I was inclusive of all shapes, sizes, races, genders, anything you can think of. Because you don't have to look like a 16-year-old Ariel to wear a tail. Like, mer people would come in all shapes, sizes, colors, everywhere. So I wanted to make sure, even like when we did the Fishi Flipper Try-On, like, which I'm so proud of my models for keeping it a secret, because all of us were like bursting to tell, but I wanted to like have somebody who could help represent everyone. And so I feel like, especially since 2020, like we all just need a little bit of happiness anywhere we can get it. And the fact that I'm able to like bring happiness with my art just makes me so glad. Especially like the most special moment for me is when someone gets their tail. And like after all the planning, the waiting, probably the saving, and like, all this time and investment, like just seeing them light up, like that is like a kid on Christmas. That is where the magic happens. And that's my favorite moment of this whole process. So personally for me, my favorite part about swimming as a merman is that I get to be way more graceful and less awkward and clumsy than I could ever be on land. Like right now, all this flailing going on, my Italian arms, like. But so what are some of the reasons that you guys swim as a mermaid or a merman, or anybody? You can raise your hand or you can just shout out, like Savannah.
I started my journey for mental health and to love my body, because I kept telling myself, I'll be a mermaid when I'm skinny. I'll be a mermaid, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a type 1 diabetic, so my weight's hard to manage. So I just decided to buy a broken monofin, and I was like, hey, yo, this is pretty cool. And so then I started my social media and stuff, and I met you. You're amazing. And yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah, her Instagram is the Body Positive Mermaid, and she's awesome.
I love
Anybody else want to share what they like about being a mermaid or merman? Lexi.
It heals my inner child.
Yes, that's a big one. Yeah. A lot of us, have probably felt like our parents weren't encouraging, or, the world has always told us we couldn't do things, or, maybe we've gone through some serious stuff, but when you're underwater, you get to just block it all out. You get to just see all the beautiful, especially the springs. Like, we're so spoiled to have these gorgeous Florida springs here. And it's so important to me that, like, if you see trash in, you just pick it up and protect them. So, also, by the way, like, if you guys have any questions at any time, like, feel free to raise your hand and ask me, because I'm about to start talking about some, like silicone tails and, like, what types of tails. And so, if, like, you have any questions, just let me know. So, but yeah, I just want to say I really am so grateful that I get to bring everybody happiness and stuff. Like, I had no idea when I started that just making my own tail, I'd be like in magazines, on Fox News, like, and peer voted for like Mr. Merman International for Monarch. Like, and Monarch is another thing too, where like, let me tell you, as like somebody who was an inhaler kid, like I never thought I would go out and want to be in a pageant. But like they're so, the lady who started it because she wanted, there's no pageants that basically don't have age limits, don't have gender limits, don't have, size limits. So she wanted to start something that was for everybody, that anybody could feel magical in. And so it really, like, all the people I got to meet through that was amazing. So I'm going off on a tangent, so sorry. But anyway, we've grown so much over the years. Like, now we have 4 different scale sheets, we've got 17 flukes, and over the years I've also worked with like a bunch of other artists, which I love doing, like Fancy Fish Fashions, and Dimitri Arts and I collabed on this merbaby. Let me tell you, like, don't ever put hair in silicone. You will hate your life. Like, all those individual hairs, let me tell you. But anyway, so, and you can see And if everybody can see magic over there, that's probably one of my favorite sculpts we've ever done. Like Mike especially worked so hard on that manatee. So I love magic over there, that little manatee, so much fun. But so we also have 3 new Teeny Tagalongs coming out in the future. We've got like our seahorses, our turtles, our baby seahorses, and I'm so excited for the 3 new ones we have in the future. So keep an eye. I don't know why I did a phone sign, but keep an eye out on especially our stories on like Instagram and Facebook. That's usually where we make like new announcements. And I wish they didn't go away after 24 hours, but yeah. So now about our silicone tails specifically. So the thing that I love about silicone tails, rather than like fabric or hybrids or whatnot, is that this is the closest material in the world we have to human skin. So it's got pores that expand and contract. It feels so natural on your body. And it really does always feel like you're wearing a second skin when you're wearing a silicone tail. So for me specifically, like when I'm not fighting that vinyl drag or all that other stuff, my breath hold is longer, I feel more natural, I'm able to like pose and go down deeper. And especially like this color shifting in different lighting, like when we do the try-on section, you guys will see some of the smaller things that have the iridescent coat out in the sun. Like you just cannot replicate that in fabric. And so it's just so magical. But as far as the construction of our tails, as my husband here will tell you, I'm a little bit of a high-strung perfectionist. So each tail that he's like, no, he's such a good liar. No, but I always make each tail to the best of my ability. And sometimes everything works out perfect, and sometimes it doesn't. Some tails fight me through the whole construction process, and some tails are nice and smooth and easy. Honestly, like it's eerily similar how the owners of the tails are like really chill, and then their tails are easy to construct. And then the ones who are a little bit like, I want this, no, I'm changing my mind, I want this design. And then like their tail's like, I'm gonna fight you every step of the way. So, but over the years, I've found that the types of tails that I've tried on, worn, swam in, I've tried probably everything out there. And for me specifically, I found that the most comfortable types of tails are full silicone, which you'll see like when we come over, you guys can feel the tails, you can like look inside of them and stuff like that. Truth be told, like there's a lot of different silicone tails, and they can be painted any pretty colors, but not all silicone tails are created the same. I'm sure you guys have seen some online that are a lot thinner than others, or that have an open fluke where you can swap out the monofin, things like that. You pretty much have 3 basic types of silicone tails though. So first, you have full silicone tails, which is what these are. These are basically full silicone bodies. They tend to be more durable and have more stretch, and it's how we make all of our tails. Even though it's a little bit more expensive to make the scales thicker, they tend to last the longest and be more durable. Especially with the Fishi Flipper now in our tails. Since our tails are 100% silicone, you don't have to worry about blades cracking, things like that, straps breaking. Unfortunately though, the downside with full silicone tails like these is you do have to worry about the weight. So I would always recommend being a strong swimmer before you swim in any type of full silicone tail. And if you're confident in your ability, then give it a try. So it's a good trade-off if you ask me though. I'd rather have a lot of weight and have my tail last a really long time, or like if I bump up against a rock, it's not going to worry about being punctured or something like that as much. So the second type of tail you have is partial silicone tails. Partial silicone tails typically have some type of fabric inside, like a fabric liner. Whatever fabric the maker uses varies, but the silicone itself will tend to be a little bit thinner when the fabric is adhered to it. So the stretch isn't as much as just straight up dragon skin silicone. The benefits of these tails though is that they weigh a lot less. So like, for example, one of our tails without any fins can be as low as like 35 pounds, like 30 to 35. But if you get like a lot of fins, they could be up to 45 pounds. So partial silicone tails can be as low as like 25. So you do get a significant weight difference in, I can't word, but you do get a significant, so if you're traveling, that's something to take into consideration. So, And then, oh, also another thing about partial silicone tails is, especially in the humidity here in Florida, you have to make sure you really, really, really dry them well, because the water tends to cling to that fabric more, and then you have to worry about things like mold or it's just taking longer to dry if you travel and things like that. That's why I prefer these full silicone tails, because I mean, the inside is just like the outside here. So I mean, if you look at water, it naturally wants to repel it. And so, but if I had fabric on that, it would absorb it. So it'd be a lot harder for me to clean it in the long run. Personally, my favorite method is using a shop vac on reverse, sticking it in there and then walking away for an hour or two, and then the tail's dry. So the third type of silicone tails are hybrid silicone tails. These tails are typically neoprene bodies or something, and they have individually sewn on scales. Lots of different makers make different types of sewn on silicone scales. They tend to be shinier and flashier and prettier, and they could be made out of resin or plastic. And they tend to be much more glamorous, but the downside is that they are a little bit more fragile. So I personally have one that I sewed scales on individually, and I love it, but I also, every 5 to 10 minutes I'm doing a scale check, especially in the springs or a natural body of water. So I'm making sure I don't drop any scales. So, sorry, these gnats are vicious, man. But yeah, so the biggest thing whenever you're buying a silicone tail, number one, is just make sure to have common sense. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So if they say, oh, you can change out monofins in it, interchangeable monofins, and the bottom of the fluke is open, those tend to not be very safe. Because if you think about it, almost everybody's swimming a fin fun, right? Raise your hand if you swim in a fin fun. Well, you can feel the water going in and out of the bottom of the fluke because they're not closed. So now imagine all that extra weight and the water going in and out, in and out. Drain holes are fine. Some companies have drain holes, that's different. But a big open flapping fluke, it's gonna drag you down. If you've worn a dress underwater. So what's in store for the future of Jurassic Merman Productions? Well, I wanted to make sure that we're able to offer some budget-friendly, fun things. So that's why you've probably seen some of our stuff out in the wild. We're going to be offering apparel. We're going to be offering some duffel bags. We've got a bunch of shirts for you guys to come see some of our designs here. So we're going to be doing ooh, there was a step there. We're going to be doing some home goods and stuff. And we've been working very diligently behind the scenes on some fabric tails. I'm really excited. But everything goes a little bit slower since it's pretty much just me full-time and my amazing husband part-time. He deserves a round of applause when I'm nervous and a bit. But I'm always trying to find ways to make sure that we can appeal to everybody and make sure that everybody can feel a little bit of that mermaid magic, because not everybody can afford to drop a couple thousand on a silicone tail. So I just want to make sure that I can help bring a little bit of that happiness to everybody. So I mean, that's why we were one of the first companies to offer payment plans for tails. So, but we'll also, we've got some tops. When we do the try-on thing, you guys can come touch everything, feel it and all. And this leads me to the Fishi Flipper, which I'm so excited about. So, I'm so excited about this because you don't know how many nights my husband has wanted to kill me over the development of this. So, this has been I'm trying not to get emotional. I hate talking about my feelings. So, but this has been such a labor of love, thousands and thousands of dollars developing it, so many sleepless nights, so much Red Bull, oh. So with there already being a few brands of silicone monofins on the market, I mean, I've been asked for years, can you make me a silicone monofin? Can you make me a silicone monofin? And my answer was always no. I never wanted to step on anyone else's fins. I never wanted to, make anybody feel like I was trying to take over their space. However, there's a couple factors that led to the development of this. And there's a couple flaws specifically in our tails over the years that customers have had concerns about. So in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I know it would be a better option. Firstly, we had specifically mermen with bigger feet who's told me that they had so much trouble, myself included, fitting into any monofins on the market. The only monofin I could personally wear without getting like cramps or bruises or like blisters was a Finis shooter, and even then sometimes I'd have to wear socks because that firm rubber like rubs up against your toes. And so so this is personally the first time I've ever been able to wear a silicone monofin. And secondly, some of the biggest complaints that I've had since I started my company is the monofins themselves, like the straps breaking, in the tails, water sometimes ballooning in the fluke where the blade is, or like I myself have even had a tail where I've been dropped at a gig and I cracked my monofin and had to cut it open to replace it, and it's the stuff of nightmares, let me just tell you. So, and quite literally, because this is platinum dragon skin silicone, it has platinum in it, which is why silicone tails are so expensive. This will last a lot longer than the monofin itself does. So typically you have a silicone tail and your rubber starts getting that dry rot and degrading before the silicone starts to break down. So that's another reason why having a silicone monofin in your tail is a lot better of an option. So the turning point though, the biggest turning point was when I called Denise on the phone and I was like, look, like why is there a shortage of these large size monofins? Like my merman needs these monofins, where are they? And so they told me they were discontinuing them because they were the lowest, I think they said they were like the lowest profit margin or something for the open-toed ones. And so they discontinued the trainer, the shooter, and the competitor in the 2XL size. And so literally there was about to be no monofin that myself and at least 7 of my silicone tail customers that I've made tails for before, there was no monofin for them to fit in anymore. So, sorry, I lost my spot again. And this is my security blanket.
You're doing great, Wesley.
So,
Yeah.
You are doing great.
but I'm just so glad after like a massive amount of money, like almost a year's worth of testing, like 6 different sculpts, learning how to make brand new types of molds that I've never made before, like all this trial and error. Like I'm so glad like everybody seems to love the Fishi Flipper, like so much so I wasn't expecting it and we like had to close the store down a little bit, which it will be reopening in a couple weeks. So I definitely need like some recovery weeks, but we're going to be opening it towards the end of the month. We're going to be opening orders, and going forward, the Fishi Flipper is going to have to be released in like limited quantities, like maybe 5 or 10 at a time. That way I can make sure nobody's sitting there waiting 6 months for their monofin or something. I want to make sure there's a good turnaround time. So, so prices for these bad boys start at $230, and then you can get a custom solid color, or I also have a couple little announcements. We're almost to the try-on section. You guys have been really patient. Like, I know I can't sit still for this long, so I'm like appreciating you guys a lot. So there were so many MERS that helped me behind the scenes with these things. So I have a little announcement to make that I'm really excited about. So kindness, inclusivity, intelligence, and just generally being a nice person to help spread that mermaid magic is one of the #1 values that I have with the company. And so with that, I want to announce my first ever official ambassadors. So first, I was going to tell him to stand up, but he's already standing up. Everyone give a round of applause for Merman Mikey. So he is so welcoming and genuine, and like anybody who knows him meets him. I've never met someone who doesn't like him. And lost the spot. He's been really great, like giving me feedback and helping me test things behind the scenes too. And like even with apparel, our silicone tails, and he made the stamps that you guys see for the Fishi Flipper. So, all right, next, Mermaid Kona, if you could please stand up. Everybody give a round of applause. So, I'm so excited to when Kona first came to visit. She like almost brought tears to my eyes last year because she's like, wait. She's like, my friend and I know you. You're the octopus man. And I was like, I'll take it. So, but she's just so sweet and so kind, and she's helped spread the word about so many new products we have. And personally, I've never seen someone as obsessed with their little teeny tagalongs as Merman Kona. So, I mean, she's even smuggling 3 of these back to Australia in her suitcases with her. So,
Who needs clothes?
right? You'll just go in the airport in your top.
I will.
And Merman Owen, who couldn't be here, he's so great at social media, and he was our first ever customer, and he came back for another tail. So I love like people who are like able to help and support me, because I personally, like anybody who knows me behind the scenes knows that I don't have a lot of self-confidence. Like basically I was a punching bag for my mom growing up, and like so every time I release something new, I'm constantly like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna hate it, and like my intrusive thoughts try to take over. But like if it wasn't for like these wonderful people and all of you, I mean right now just being here helping, like I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you everybody. Okay, so before we get into the try-on section of the Fishi Flipper, I did promise you guys I would give away some silicone prizes. So we've got 2 turtles. I'm sorry, this one needs to be rinsed. I dropped him in the dirt. We got 2 turtles and a little seahorse. So I've got 3 questions for those of you who have been paying attention. And the first hand that I see, actually, can you help? Well, Mike, can you help me keep an eye out? You can like turn it.